Welcome to the No Fear podcast. This is Scott Kloss, and we have a special solo edition today called Ask Me Anything. So a couple days ago, I put on my social media, what questions would you like me to answer and talk about on my solo podcast? So here are the first couple. The first question I got is a great one because it's an expertise of mine, and it is, what should I do to start investing in real estate? And I find this interesting because we now have over 2,100 past clients. And one question I would ask them as I'm contacting them is, have you ever thought about investing in real estate? And there's three responses I get. Well, first of all, they usually say, yes, I have. And then I say, well, why haven't you? And there's three responses from there. It's either I don't have the money, I don't have the time, or I don't know what I'm doing. And really not knowing what you're doing is kind of directly related to not having time. And I do a seminar on this and the basics of investing in real estate, because everyone thinks in order to invest, you need to be a landlord and you need to fix toilets. It always goes to fixing toilets on like Christmas Eve. But there's many different options to invest in real estate. So if you're someone that has money and you don't have time, there's something called syndications. So syndications are, you could pool money together and you would have someone more or less find the deals, manage them, put together pools of money, and you could just get returns that are more predictable. You could be a hard money lender yourself. So there's plenty of people that don't have the money, but they know they have the deal, and you could become the bank. That's probably the ultimate goal of investing, the truly most passive way of doing it. You can set rates of 12 to 14%. You can get 2 or 3% up front, and you can really have your money make great money, and it's basically guaranteed. And if they default, you get the house they buy. Like, you are the bank. There's partnerships. Someone could want to do a flip. They have the wherewithal, know what to use. They have the time. You just fund it. You split the deals 50-50. So the hardest part of real estate investing is always finding the deal. It is never about the money. So that concern's out the window. Now, if you have the time, but you don't have the money, it's the opposite. But there's a couple of things that you could really do right off the bat. One's called bird dogging, and that is getting really good at evaluating what a deal is. Going, searching, you can drive around neighborhoods, you can see the ones that have the long grass, you can go on MLS, you can go on Zillow, you can go on all these different sources, and your job is just to value what it could be worth, what the expenses it would cost to fix, and then you bring it to someone with money and say, this is what I recommend, they're ready to do it. And just like a good bird dog in hunting, that you shoot the duck and they bring it to you, you're basically bringing them a deal. And you could get paid $2,000 a deal. You could get paid $3,000 a deal. It's really up to you. But the most valuable thing that you would offer is, you know how to find deals, you know how to value them. And then just be the grunt person. Be the one that's willing to do the work and let someone else fund it. So if you ever need help finding money, I'm a great person for you to connect with. I will be able to connect you with more money than you could dream of, just with people that are actively searching for deals. That's where I would start. Then it has to go with just what your personal goals are. Some people like quick money, so they flip, they fix and sell. And that is great. And it also has tax ramifications that holding long-term doesn't. And you think of single family has its benefits because it's really marketable. It typically appreciates well. When you sell it, it's going to have a lot of interest. But if that tenant's not in there, you're making no money. So you can hedge your bet by doing a duplex or a 4-family. Each of them have their own pros and cons, and there is no one right answer. So to answer the question about what should I do to invest, that is completely up to your situation and your terms. And it would be, do you have the money and not the time? Do you have the time and not the money? Where are you lacking? What can you do? And we can build a customized plan for you. So the next question is a change of pace. It's interesting. It is, what were you more afraid of as a kid? Ghosts, aliens, or monsters? I haven't thought about this in a while, But to answer this truthfully, and maybe I should be, psychologically evaluated, but there was a time as a kid where I just thought that everyone was like secretly against me. And if you had your normal look when I was around, but if I wasn't around, like you almost turned into, I'd say maybe more like a monster or turned into something else. And it was just kind of like this secret that everyone knew about that I didn't. And I don't really know when that started or when it ended, but I probably remember a couple years where that was like a big thought of just like, hey, what if this is something that I don't even know about, and just waiting for like almost like the Truman Show, where it's like, oh, we got you. We were playing this game on you. And man, I haven't thought about that in probably 35 years. The next question, can you share a time when you felt completely unprepared for a challenge, and what did you do to get through it? I could think of probably 17 times when I felt that I was completely unprepared for a challenge, and I could really go two ways with this. One would be business related and one would be fitness related. And I would say the one business related that came up is when we started Keller Williams, when we came to Keller Williams back in 2015. I came to Keller Williams to learn how to hire and build a real estate team. I never came here to run it. And there was a day, it was November 28th, 2016, November 24th, 2016. And they said, hey, we need someone to run this. This didn't get approved. We have a lot of momentum. And at the time, I had a 7-month-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. And it was always on my mind, like, hey, this would be cool to run one day. It just wasn't cool at that moment. And the reason I remember the date is because I was on an 8-day Hawaiian trip the next day. So it was like, I raised my hand. I said I might be interested, and I got to spend that trip thinking about the pros and cons of both, of, hey, taking over the role of operating principal or continuing to stay as a realtor. And ultimately, I decided that I was ready. I decided that I wanted the growth of the challenge of leadership and the challenge of all of that, and it really excited me. But to say I was prepared for it is laughable, because I didn't have a background in business. I didn't know what a chart of accounts was. I didn't know really business at all, but I learned it along the way, and I didn't let that stop me. I didn't say, come back to me in 3 years while I get my MBA, because when opportunity knocks, you have to answer the door. Otherwise, it's gone. Then on just a fitness level, and I've shared this story before, but my real estate coach, he said he was running a marathon in 4 months. And I said, good for you. And then he said, you are too. The long and short of it was I was probably running a mile at a time, more lifting and playing sports. And I just said, okay, I committed to the day, and I saw the plan and I just followed the plan. So I think it's so rare that most people would just say, maybe next year, or give me more time, or whatever. But what makes me prepared is making the decision and then saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to figure it out. And that's something that I love about myself in terms of a quality that I have, because I am very risk adverse, or I don't get like bogged down in the details of everything that could go wrong. I know things are going to go wrong, and I just do it anyways. All right, and the last question for today, thank you all for sending them, is who's your favorite fictional character who embodies bravery, and why? And this one's fun for me because I'm a huge, pretty much everything, but I'm really into Marvel and the Avengers. The one that embodies the most bravery for me would be Iron Man, because he's a human. He has no superhuman strength or mortality or anything like that. He's literally a human, and he is the one. If you're familiar with the with the Avengers and the Endgame and everything, he's the one that actually faces the Thanos, the biggest, meanest villain in the world, and ends up, killing him and saving everyone. And he does die at the end, but I just think it would be so different to say, hey, I am at any point could be killed very easily, snapped by a twig by any of these. And the other characters, I mean, they're gods, they're people that, they're just different. So it's a different aspect of bravery because he was so vulnerable, and he just was the one that used his smarts, used his bravery to save the world. Thank you so much for everyone who submitted questions. This was definitely fun. We will be doing it again. In the meantime, subscribe to the No Fear podcast, and if you want your questions answered in the next edition, put it in the form linked in the description, and we will see you next time.